I think I have one of the craziest and biggest news that I have to share. I don't know why companies do this. She goes, would you ever consider like a retainer? He doesn't want to do it. The gut punches have already started. Happy Tuesday morning and welcome to yet again another week in the life of what I do every single day as a recruiter in the technology industry. And we're coming into now the final week of the first quarter of 2022. Have you hit your goals? Where are you? How close are you? Did you surpass them? It's been an insane quarter for us so far, and I'm just zeroing in and just doing whatever I can to make sure that we finish this week, this month, and this quarter off on the highest foot as possible. Never did I expect this much momentum and just the level of business and demand for companies that are just going super aggressive when it comes to recruiting and hiring, and we're just doing whatever we can, almost at capacity, to just help out a lot of the amazing companies that we're grateful to be working with. But coming into this week, I'm a little bit tired, a little bit behind. Spent most of last week traveling, and so every time that you're going off on a holiday or vacation, it's always a little bit of a process to get back into the routine, back into the trenches, and stay focused. But I got my matcha and I got my tea, and my energy level is slowly getting higher, so I am getting almost at that peak state to do some great work. But it is Tuesday. Yesterday, really just spent most of my day completing any outstanding items, doing a bunch of candidate calls. We are looking to engage with 2 to 3 new companies this week, everything from operations to engineering to product roles, which is going to be fantastic. We'll share more information about that with you. We're also possibly waiting on an offer for a senior director of product for one of our favorite healthcare tech companies. This has been in the works for the making. This is the closest that we've ever been, and we'll see what happens. I gotta fill you in on there too. But if you're new here, welcome. If you've been watching for a long time, thank you so much again for coming. And if you are as excited as I am for crushing Q1 and then starting Q2 off and really setting yourself up on the right foot in 2022 with amazing success, then feel free to like, subscribe, click that bell. Really means a lot, and will give all of us the focus, the energy needed to do the best that we can. Got calls starting soon. I got 2 syncs with clients later today, got 2 interviews today. We had about 3 interviews yesterday, so still pretty good momentum, but I want to see more interviews on the books, and it's just going to be a busy outreach and sourcing day for me today to the rest of the week. But excited to be back. Let's get started. Oh my God. I think I have one of the craziest and biggest news that I have to share. So remember I told you just moments ago that we're in process with a healthcare company for a senior director product role. Well, we got some news, but to give you a little context, the company opened this role up in November, and it's very, very niche and very specific in terms of what they're looking for. It's a senior director of product, so immediately the target market is very small, as it's obviously very senior, but they're looking for someone not just, who worked on any like applications or B2B, B2C, like they really want some specific platform experience, as it's more kind of back-end oriented, and really need someone that has a lot of exposure to a lot of back-end oriented initiatives. So if they have, worked across like initiatives revolving around databases, architecture, infrastructure, legacy platforms, refactoring legacy platforms, or monolithic to, microservices, like that is really, really, really important. And in the beginning, they were only willing to target New York City. So immediately target market is super small. And so they brought us on board, and we did the best that we can, and immediately kind of created a very steady flow of candidates. But it's been difficult. Like we really did a lot of searches in New York, and really struggled because aside from the skill set, they were really also going after a specific profile with a lot of different criterias. And the hiring manager, for better or for worse, but I think it's great that he knew exactly what he wanted. It made it hard for us to kind of find the right person for him, but when we did, that person went far or did well. But, we ended up having a lot of close calls. A lot of candidates have gone through the first, second, third round. No one really kind of made it to the final final. And then it kind of just plateaued there for a lot of times. And then, we try to kind of cast the net out a little bit wider to help with the pipeline in hopes that the hiring manager would like that. He didn't. And that kind of slowed everything down a little bit. And then I think what really helped is that they understood the same issues that we're going through. They had the same issues in the internal recruiting team. The pipeline is struggling and they really want to kind of stick with their ideal profile, within the target market. But then they realized, like at the end of the day, post-pandemic, companies are opening up. I think to remain competitive and to help the pipeline become stronger and healthier, we need to open up to the rest of the country. So I think once they kind of gave me the green light, that was amazing because we're able to kind of target so many other people. And that just got the pipeline back up and running. We've been doing this since probably late November till now. So it's over a quarter of just being consistent and trying to reach out to people, sending people out. We had a bunch of close calls. And then we found this amazing woman candidate from here in the East Coast. And she just was doing so well at the end of the day, going through every single stage, feedback, positive, from the get-go. And then as I was traveling to the West Coast last week, I was doing my best to also navigate this. One of the biggest kind of point of concerns coming into the final, and she was our first candidate to come into the final, coming to last week, like she also showed that she was in talks with another company. And so when you're working on a really, really hard role, and you think you found like the unicorn, the amazing person that you could finally close this position, the worst news ever to hear that this person's also talking to another company who also happens to be in the healthcare space, who also happens to be offering her senior director product role and a really attractive comp package and benefits and all of that. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh my God, like I can't get my hopes up. We'll see what happens. I will do my best to navigate and to make sure that she has a strong relationship. But I'm like, of course, like why should I be surprised in this day and age, in this talent market where really good candidates are always talking to amazing companies? But I was secretly hoping that I got some good news with her. She wasn't talking to anyone else, or maybe she clearly ranked my company 1. But last week, coming into it, not only was she talking to another competitive offer, but she also kind of ranked this, I think, a little bit higher than my client, which, kind of made me not get too excited and just manage my hopes and expectations. So anyway, she came to this week and for her, she told me that the team and the culture is really important. She was able to meet the team for my client. That was really, really important. But I think she was kind of intrigued about this other company. Now coming to this week, she met the other company, she met the other team, and I think that kind of still made things neck and neck. No, it hasn't really tipped things in one way or another. But I think what really, really helped here is that I think she had one more round with my client. She had 1 or 2 more rounds with a competing company that all happened last week. But as she kind of did another round with a competing client, I was also just practically like communicating with the direct hiring manager at my client, who is amazing closer. And it's in the final 12 hours where you have to really be hands-on and make sure the candidate experience is spot on, but make sure you understand and you can navigate the high touch points moving forward. Like she has potentially now expecting more of an offer that's coming. As last week progressed, the chance of her getting another offer is getting higher. I'm not really sure exactly where she stands. And the crazy thing is, when we submitted her to my client role, they were considering her for a director role. So she's expecting to get a senior director title, and she's been a director for a good handful of years in her career. So even that alone is very intriguing. And so I had to kind of talk in tandem to my hiring manager saying, what can we do to stay competitive? What was really surprising was last week they came back from saying, we really love her a lot. We want to do whatever we can. Please keep us updated with competing offer. You know what? We talked to the team. There is a chance we might consider her for a senior director role. It's brand new. It's not even public on our site or on the job boards. And we think she could be a good fit. And if that's the case, then of course you're going to have more attractive comp, more attractive benefits, RSU's entire package. And my hiring manager's like, would she be interested in that? I'm like, I don't know why she wouldn't be interested. You should have talked to her. So I think coming into this week or last week, she was meeting the team of the other company, senior director. I think senior director position, higher comp, lower comp, more exciting space. It wasn't looking too good for my client. But then I think things started turning where she was able to talk again with my hiring manager, and they talked about this other position, which I think did the trick, where she's like, you know what, like, I think that's awesome. And then we started discovering new insights from that conversation, saying that she actually really connected with my client's team a lot more. A lot of other aspects, from benefits to culture to the mission, started to become a lot more exciting to her as she kind of started thinking about this. And then I think the fact that they offered her a different position, a senior director role, but one that was also included aspects of product that my candidate really, really wanted. I think that ended up tipping things slowly back to my client's favor. I mentioned to you that this was a very platform-oriented role. My candidate has a very strong platform experience, but in an ideal scenario, she's like, oh, if it's just singularly focused on platform, I'm not sure if I want to do that forever. So I want, just want to make sure that I can do platform, but I want to be able to do other aspects of product, maybe, touch the product end to end, or other kind of, instead of just back-end focus, maybe full stack, or just have the opportunity to kind of work with different teams and different initiatives. And I think this senior director role, not only is it more senior, but it's a little bit broader. And of course, it came with a brand new comp package. And I think that also just negated a lot of the concerns that she had. So now from the second half of the week coming into this week, she had a great conversation. I was able to just briefly hear, just via email and text, that my candidate had a wonderful conversation with the hiring manager. She's slowly becoming more and more excited about my client. And then coming into this week, I was basically on and off, flying back, and then did a lot of family stuff over the weekend. I honestly didn't know what to expect coming to this week. I knew that they had a chat, my candidate had a chat with my client. I knew that she was expecting an offer from the competing company. I last heard from my candidate that she was, excited about my client, but who knows what that could mean starting a brand new week. My candidate had another chat with my hiring manager yesterday, and at this point, my hiring manager, her main mission is to just sell, and close. If you think recruiting doesn't include any aspects of sales, I totally disagree, because at the end of the day, we're the front door gatekeepers of a company, and for us to not only outreach and get a response, and then to screen a candidate, but then to further maintain their excitement, what do you do to do that? Sales and selling. And so recruiting to me is 100% sales. It's very, very important to maintain that, to understand exactly what the candidate wants, and to connect your opportunity to them, and then amplify that, especially as you go through final stages, just to make sure that the candidate can stay focused on your position, but also they understand the main benefits, the advantages that your position can offer than competing offers. So the hiring manager did a terrific job last week. She had another conversation yesterday, did it again, just painting that picture, really connecting her company, the position, with all the desires and needs and wants of my candidate. The thing is, came into Tuesday morning here not knowing how that went. And so now it's mid-Tuesday morning, I'm busy working and sourcing and outreaching, and then I get this email from my candidate that said, Preston, had a great chat with the hiring manager. I am going to accept! Which, as you can see, elevated my energy through the roof. And I'm in just utter complete shock, because I would have loved nothing more for this candidate to accept this job. But I knew we had an uphill challenge from competing offers, and not just competing offers, it's competing offers with different position, higher comp, and it just honestly took a lot of tact and managing relationships between me and my candidate and the hiring manager, this perfect trifecta, and we navigated perfectly, where it came to a point where the candidate was super pumped and excited to get the offer. I also just got off the call from the hiring manager, and she's super pumped as well. Her hiring manager is very picky, very selective. So the fact that we have a candidate who made it past the final, who got an offer, I don't exactly know when this offer was extended, maybe it was yesterday, but I think it was just so good. The candidate just felt it was right, and she just almost accepted on the spot. And just for good measure, my hiring manager, my client, tossed in a $20K sign-on bonus. So can you imagine not only interviewing for a new job, but getting paid a ridiculous amount of money just to accept like that? I've never seen a signing bonus like that high, which is amazing. It's just such an amazing, blessed way to start a brand new week, to end a quarter here. The real exciting news is, I think, by the numbers, this is my biggest deal that I've ever done on my desk to date. It just honestly goes to show that you can achieve ridiculous results just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and which is something that I'm trying to just show through these videos. So if you've been watching, what I do every single week is no different. I don't use brand new tools this week and brand new tools the next week. I don't really change significantly. I just try to be as consistent as possible and just try to find ways to just do things better, build relationships, better feedback, better follow-ups, learning how to just better handle high touch points here. But the fact that this happened, it just goes to show that I just love what I do. It's not about the deals and monies, that's great. It's all about developing relationships and really helping people people and guiding them to make the best decisions for themselves in their career. A lot of times it doesn't go your way, but if it doesn't, gotta learn to kind of hold your tongue and be happy for the candidate that they made the best decision for themselves. Then even though that we would love nothing more for that to be with our client, I would rather the candidate not accept the job of my client, but I can still maintain a good relationship with them in the future. And maybe there'll be opportunities that we can cross paths and work together again. But this has been absolutely insane, and I'm super pumped. I'm super grateful. I think the salary that was finalized was $250,000. I think the highest salary up until this point was $190,000. So it's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. But guys, this is firing me up. I'm not gonna slow down this week. I still got so much more to do this week, but this is a huge, huge, huge win. If I can do it, you can do it. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, just stay consistent, work hard, and let's keep going. Boom, 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 boom. Spoke with my ADTECH client, and now we're in negotiations with a senior product designer. The thing with this situation is that in the beginning, she told me she was looking for 175 or higher. An offer came out 175, and she now got disappointed by it because throughout the process, she's like, I might have increased scope, maybe close to leadership. And I feel like this is the company saying that we don't value, or we're trying to intentionally lowball you. While that may be the case for some companies, I know that with my client in particular, they love to just do their best to get the starting point as good enough as possible and then have an active discussion to negotiate. Now, I know if you're watching or listening to this and you're like, I'm working at a company that, or I just think it's best practice to come out with the strongest offer, period, so there's no negotiations or minimal. I totally get it. I agree with you. It's just with this company, somehow this is their process. At least they didn't come out with 150 or 140. At least it came out with their hard minimum. So in my mind, there's things that we can kind of fight for, and having worked with them for a long time, I know that they have wiggle room, so we can make this done. The issue is that, unfortunately for my candidate, she couldn't help but really just experience this whole thing as a disappointment. And she's like, they should have known that because of my bigger scope, they should have come out with much higher than 175. I did my best to kind of put out that fire as much as possible, just really explain to her that no, it's their way. This is their way of like getting you an offer, and then they just want to have like a discussion with you just to kind of about all terms to make sure everything's happy. And then I think she was okay with that, but she has another company that might give her an offer tonight. She has a couple more that she's going to finals with, and it seems like they're gonna also come out with offers that are just much higher than 175. So I just talked with her, and then I talked through the head of recruiting at my client and just shared my findings and be like, hey, you guys need to come up. And you know, she's also really important about or really considering the PTO days to be an important factor to her decision, and yours is still pretty low compared to other companies. So if we can kind of maneuver, wiggle the salary and PTO, I think that would just be amazing, because we can get the job done. I feel pretty confident that. But if you can only do salary, only PTO, or PTO only salary, we'll see what happens. But it can't stay at 175. 185 plus would be ideal. 180 would be a good plan B. But wow, I didn't really see this coming. I thought my candidate would reach an offer and still reject my client because she wanted to focus on product, and my client's more of an agency / product. It's still a concern that she's interviewing with other companies that are more SaaS product based, but I think the team, the founder, resonated with her enough at my client that she has remained equally excited about the opportunity. Not to mention that my client is now considering her for a more senior level role than what she was initially anticipating, with greater scope, management abilities, and growth, which I think is just as appealing and exciting for her too. So a lot going on right now. Like, just did a killer deal yesterday. If I can close this, I didn't really have my hopes up with this. That's why I was trying so hard to kind of fill the pipelines a good plan B. Did not expect to be in a situation. So now, knowing I have a chance of making this happen, I'm going to focus on this completely. I really hope my internal recruiter is doing her job, talking to the CTO, and just getting some wiggle room here to make it done, and then we'll see what we can do here. All right, so it is Tuesday, almost 4 p.m., and I forgot to mention that when I was traveling last week, we were able to get an offer with our FinTech company with a copywriter, and the whole week consisted of me just going back and forth with the designer and just trying to negotiate how he felt. When the first offer came out, when we first spoke to him, he was looking for 70. When the offer came out, when he was nearing the offer, he was like, you know what, I think 70 is too low. I kind of want maybe like, 80, 85. And then we went back to the company, and then an offer came out, which which is amazing for 80, 85. And then, you know, I didn't hear back from Day, and then he gets back and saying, you know what, I think I might want 90 or 95. And I was like really surprised, and I was just honest with him, telling him that 80, 85 was my client stretching because they liked him so much. And then, you know, if you kept shooting higher and higher, at a certain point, it's going to leave a bad taste in the company's mouth and blow back on him, and I didn't want that to happen. So I had a chat with him. I'm like, hey, you know, you still have every right to negotiate if you want to. It's up to you what you want to ask for, but you know, you've already asked for 80, 85, that's what they gave to you. So if you ask for a lot more than what they have right now, you know, perhaps they could look at that or feel like that, not in the best way. And so he got it, but you know, he's like, you know what, I want to shoot for the moon, and I get it. But my candidate has been working at agencies his whole life. This is his first in-house opportunity with a tech company. I also reminded he has equity and bonus and all the other really fun perks that you get at an established tech company. He got that too. Anyway, I think he chatted with them. I don't think that they countered with the salary, and then he was okay with that coming into late last week. And then we finished off the week with him emailing the team saying, hey, I verbally accept, I'm gonna choose 85. And then I celebrated, I went all through last week, being like, oh my God, we did a deal. But then what happened was, like, coming into this week, I got an email on Monday morning from my candidate saying, hey, I might reconsider because I just got a really strong counter offer from my current company, and now I just need to mull things over. And then, you know, from experience, every time you get those, it can't be a good sign. So I tried whatever I could to get him on the phone and chat with him. And then I got on the phone with him late kind of yesterday, and I initially thought it was like a financial counteroffer with a bigger salary. And I'm like, hey, you gotta be careful accepting counteroffers. Accepting counteroffers can work out well, but you know, if you do the research and if you study data, like a lot of the times people who accept counteroffers end up leaving in the next 6 to 9 months anyway, right? Or 6 to 12 months. And so I just wanted to tell him, hey, like, whether you accept this job with my client, that's fine. Whether you don't, that's fine. But I just wanted to present with you information so you can make the best decision for yourself. And I told him that I also thought he wanted to go in-house tech instead of just working at an agency and continue doing that forever. And he was listening to me, and then he told me it wasn't so much of a counter offer financially, it was more of a counter offer creatively. So again, he was a copywriter, but his background is super creative. And I think what really drew him to the counteroffer is that his current company, the executives and founders of his current company, are offering to introduce my candidate to other friends and people in their network that run other great agencies, nonprofits, companies who have a lot of different creative needs. And then outside of his scope of his normal work, he can have the opportunity to pursue those, whether it's video, art, design. And that's all he wants to do because he's very creative and he wants to continue doing something creative. And he's just really worried that if he gets stuck or siloed in tech, that it's not going to really be able to be that creative. And ultimately, you know, he's concerned, is this the right kind of career path that I want to do? So I totally get that. And after hearing him, I'm like, man, I don't know if my client can offer him as much creative opportunities as this. I even asked him, like, how excited are you in tech and having a career in tech? He's like, exciting, but you know, it's not like I really want to be in tech. I think for him, being able to really satisfy his creative itch, being able to pursue his different creative initiatives is really important. And the more he can do that at his work, the better. So with this information, I then went back to my client saying, hey, you guys need to talk to him. This is exactly like his concern. And you know, if you can address this, that he's really strongly considering this other counteroffer because of the creative opportunities. If you can maybe brainstorm with him and talk to him, being honest and casual, maybe what other creative opportunities at my client company can arise. Maybe he can work closely with the design team. Maybe that would be enough. And if they can do that effectively enough, possibly, you know, that could be a good way for my candidate to reconsider his reconsidering of the counteroffer to stay true to the offer that he accepted. I also reminded my candidate, like, hey, like, you also verbally accepted. Again, not the best practice to rescind on a verbal. It's even worse if you rescind on a written, but obviously he's got to do the best that he can. But I don't know at this point, like, you know, he was hired for a marketing copywriter role. I'm not sure exactly how creative that can be. So I followed up with my hiring manager earlier today. Seemed like he connected with my candidate and I haven't heard back from him. I heard back from the candidate it went well, but I'm not sure if it went well enough for my candidate to go back and accept the job. So I have a call in a couple hours with my candidate later today. We'll see what happens, but I don't really have my hopes up too much here. Could lose this, and if we do, that would be a bummer because I thought we had this in the bag, and there's no better way to feel like you got sucker punched when a candidate who accepted is now rescinding. So we'll see. I mean, in an hour and a half from now, I will get the final answer, but I don't think it's positive. I'm not gonna have my hopes up. Just gonna have to continue and focus on other open positions and keep it going. So we'll see what happens, fingers crossed. All right, I did a really good process call with a creative motion digital designer that is slowly going to final rounds for my ADTECH client. And did the process call, wanted to check in on his salary because I got pinged from my client that when they talked about salary with him yesterday, he gave a range much higher than what I initially provided, and now I know why. He just got an offer from another company. It's so many bidding wars here, and he wants an offer to be equivalent or something close, but that's totally justifiable. But he's not yet at the final, so my objective was to have him be able to push back, making a decision for his other offer as much as possible, while trying to get him through the finish line as fast as possible with my client. With that said, his other offer is for a freelance position, and mine's a full-time, so it's kind of surprising to me how he weighs things. It sounds like he weighs things equally. Freelance does give you that flexibility, but full-time also gives you all the perks of full-time, like all the benefits and bonuses and growth, and more quote-unquote stability and security. So it seems like a lot of the focus here is going to be on salary. My client mentioned that they're not sure if they can go anywhere close to that, but it sounds like if they can, like that might have the weight in their favor, considering it's a full-time role. My Ken understands that. So we'll see. He still has another conversation tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Maybe we can get this done, who knows? But I'm still glad I was able to touch base with him, and just really, really goes to show how important it is to really maintain relationships with the candidates as much as you can every step of the way, just so you can maintain that rapport, the relationship, but also understand exactly how he or she is feeling and thinking at every stage, so that if you do want to move forward, you know exactly how to handle and navigate. So let's see. No, it never gets easier. So my copywriter candidate spoke with the head of growth earlier today, and he said it was a wonderful conversation. Now I know why, in the way that it's now crystal clear that the position with my client is not the best for him, and he doesn't want to do it. And so as painful as it was hearing those words, I mean, he made the right decision for his career, it sounds like, and he's gung-ho about moving forward, and it's another deal stripped and taken away. But I have to be supportive. You have to bite your tongue and understand that it's the candidate getting a new job, and we just did whatever we can to help. And it was a little bit more painful because he did verbally accept with my client, so it's not going to leave the best taste in my mouth with my client, but it is what it is, right? Like counteroffers happen, surprise counteroffers can happen, and boom, like surprise like this happens. So not too happy about that. There's really no other way I can really push back or fix the situation. He's gonna respond back to my client, let them know that he's officially made his decision and he's walking away. Damn, it's another offer lost on a Tuesday afternoon, but just gotta keep going. We'll see what we can do. Oh my God, I don't know why companies do this. So we have an issue. So we've been working with this really cool healthcare tech startup, Series B, building a really cool marketplace platform. And we're helping them for a strategy position. And when I spoke with the founder, he's like, hey, we can go as high as 175. That's really one of the main markers we've been utilizing for our outreach. And then we've been pitching 175. I mean, anything from 150 to 175, we were operating under the assumption that was okay. And then we just, heard back that one of our candidates had an offer, which is amazing, but they offered him 120, 130, 140. So I don't know what's going on here, because when I submitted my candidates to my company, I clearly let them know that he's at least looking for, 160 plus, 170, 175 plus would be ideal. Total comp 200 plus. I'm not sure exactly why he's offering this 150, not even 150, 120 to 130, 140. So significantly low, does not make me look good, does not make the company look good. It just seems like we're just wasting everyone's time. So I need to desperately get in touch with the founder, chat with him to see what we can do here. I still think there's a chance of making this happen, but this is just not a good beginning. Yeah, I just need to understand the thought process. I don't know why companies do this. It just boggles my mind. Yeah, I'm checking my email again. I specifically said total comp 200, salary at least 160, 170. I don't know why they're lowballing here. So I have a busy day today, jumping on the call with one new client, one old client that wants me to pick up PM roles, a process call with a candidate, a recruiting candidate for the EdTech company I'm working on. Hopefully she's still excited, and just got to figure this out as well. And then I'm still waiting to see what happens with this product designer at this ADTECH company. A lot of things in my mind, so I got to stay focused and organized, but we'll see how the day plans out. Okay, spoke with my recruiting candidate who's slowly going into possibly the offer stage with my EdTech company. Did another quick process call with her, double check with her on salary expectations. Initially, she was looking for 150, but because my client does not offer bonus and equity, she's naturally going to want something a little bit higher, probably close to 160 to 170. And so I'm not really clear on the next steps. It could either be her talking to other members of the team or possible offer. And if it's the offer, then I just want to give my client a heads up saying, hey, if this is the case, like this would be the ideal range for my candidate. And I hope that this works for you. And I'm going to go ahead and shoot her an email and let them know. But I think I still haven't gotten an official word on how they want to move forward, but it's important for me to understand exactly like how my candidate's doing as they kind of progress further in later stages. And if we do get to a point where it's pre-offer, really just want to dive deep with them just to see if there are any underlying concerns, any other questions I can help with. Are we aligned with salary? Just so that if offers do come out, ideally we come out in a range that the candidate wants. If not, if it's a little bit lower, maybe just a little bit lower, and that's definitely kind of room for negotiation. So we'll see what we can do here. But all in all, like that was a pretty straightforward process call, unlike everything else I had to deal with today. I'm going to be jumping on the call with my AdTech client hour and a half from now, just to kind of see how everything is, what are their most important priority needs, and take it from there. A lot of my time is advising and consulting companies aside from the typical like outreach and screenings that I do with candidates, which is the whole reason why I love recruiting, because we're not just, on LinkedIn or on GitHub or on these other Indeed or platforms all day. Like we do everything from screening to qualifying to outreach to negotiating to closing, all the way to advisory, kind of high-level strategic services as well. So it really just kind of changes every single day, which is why I love it. Like no day is the same, but when it comes to multiple offers happening at the same time, it does get a little bit stressful and really requires you to be focused and on your A game. So feeling pretty good about this recruiter position. Don't know what to say about the strategy position, and still need to figure out for this designer position, but this is the last week for Q1. Let's finish strong. Let's go. Oh man, so it is Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Just had back-to-back client calls. The first is connecting with a really great old client at a media ad tech company, Series A, and they're need help hiring product managers. So it's a chance for me to kind of connect with the head of product just to see how everything's going. We were able to place a couple PMs there in the past, and both they need 2, ideally 3 for a backfill. So it was a good kind of opportunity to catch up. Love working with them. And then he's just gonna double check on kind of modifying our agreement, getting back to me, and hit the ground running. The second is we're able to finally connect with our founder, with our candidate, a strategy candidate that got an offer that unfortunately was a little bit much lower than what he's looking for. And I was able to really kind of explain the situation, that he's excited, no real concerns in terms of competing offers and companies, but we need to get the salary up, and it needs to be up at least 200 for total comp, at least 160 for a cash. Again, they came out with 3 different options with varying salary and equity, 120 to 140, but that's still a little bit too low. And he was able to hopefully hear me, and I think he did. And so he's going to follow up with the candidate today. I'm going to follow up with the candidate tomorrow. Hopefully they have a good, productive discussion. We'll see what happens. Lastly, I just had a call with a brand new client. They're building a really cool mission-oriented product that's basically building a platform that's going to resonate with a lot of people, especially people moving into different countries. And can't really say much right now, but they're a small team, but they raised a massive seed round, and they only have a team of 10, a team of 3 engineers looking for senior engineers, front end, back end, Vue, and Node. I had a wonderful conversation with them. They got to know me more. I got to know them. We went over the terms. Everything works out okay. But at the end of the day, like if this works out, it could be a wonderful, fantastic client. Now, the only issue here is that they are early stage, but through the conversation, I was able to really recommend them to stretch on the salary, because if you're an early stage company in this market, you need as much ammo as possible. Unfortunately, they are hybrid, so they're not remote, which is not the best, but they're at least able to come pretty competitive competitive with the salary, which I'm really happy about. A lot more than some of the larger companies we're working with right now. So I love the founder, how he's aggressive. He understands exactly where I'm coming from. And, we see ourselves as a partner for companies that we work with. And we want to really help companies just cut through the noise and get the response, get the positive feedback that they need in this insane competitive recruiting market. And we are the partners to just hopefully make it happen. So I'm going to send over the agreement letter, the engagement agreement letter, probably tomorrow morning. Once that's good to go, we can start going through our database, looking for people, and then I can start actively sourcing for this as well. So a lot of cool things happening right now. I'm going to finish off this evening doing probably 2 or 3 more passes of strategy, and then maybe focus a little bit more on engineers again tomorrow. But man, it's been such a crazy Wednesday. A lot of offers possibly happening. So just hopefully we can pop a couple of them. Happy Thursday. It is 5 p.m. and boy, was it an absolutely insane day. First off, was able to sync with a brand new client. We are good to go. Going to be full speed ahead with engineers. They're looking for engineers, preferably in New York, but also open to remote, front end or full stack. Ideally at all levels with at least maybe 2 to 3 years of professional experience. So front end is React. That's a huge prerequisite. Back end, mainly Node, but if they know Haskell, Python, or Go, that's totally fine for them. Ideally, if they're coming out of, fast growth tech software companies, that would be ideal. CS degree, a plus. Fast growing companies, a plus. But they're hiring a lot of people. So I think this is a great client to work with to be able to do a good number of deals. And they're working on some, really, really exciting tech. We also heard this morning that our ADTECH client might want to move forward and make an offer to our designer, which is amazing because I thought they just closed the position or they weren't interested to interview anyone else. We haven't heard them for a little over 2 weeks. And then I got an email late last night saying, hey, is your candidate available? I had a chat with my candidate this morning. She's still available and she's still excited, and it seems like they might move forward to an offer. So a lot of offers happening right now. Pretty crazy. We'll see what happens there. And then boy, oh boy, we just had another crazy situation. So do you remember that one of my product designer candidates was in process with my ADTECH client, and then just it became a whole ridiculous scenario where there was a huge misunderstanding. So when I synced with my candidate, she said that last she spoke with the client, they're really happy with her, they want to move forward, they want to do an offer, and that's fantastic. And I didn't know at that point, and I found out later that she apparently verbally accepted. So when I spoke with her, that did not come up, which makes me wonder why. She told me that she had possibly other offers that are coming. Her initial offer terms was 175, and then she's asking for like 185, 190 for the other offers, or that's what she was expecting to get. And so she was like, hey, is there any opportunity to negotiate? And so for here, I said yes, because I did not know that she verbally accepted. And of course, when an offer comes out, it's typical to negotiate, and companies expect that to happen, especially in this market. So I'm like, yeah, that's totally cool. So then I pinged the client, and then I got massive pushback by the founder, CTO, saying, hey, we find it in really bad taste that she wants to negotiate, and we don't want to move forward with her, or something like that, or we're just really disappointed. And I'm like, where is this coming from? Because I thought you guys loved her, you want to move forward to an offer. I spoke with the candidate was accepted, and then this was early in the week. I didn't hear back again for the next several days from the CTO or the founder about how they want to move forward with her. And every single day I'm like, guys, what do you want to do? Because I had a great initial chat with the candidate. I need to sync up with her again, and tell her what the next steps are. Now you're telling me that you're disappointed, you might not want to move forward. So I need to know exactly what you want to do. When I first also believed that she did not verbally accept, I'm like, hey, when I'm hearing this from you guys, my client, you should not kind of pull out a deal after a candidate accepts, because that would just negate just a horrible negative experience on the candidate. And then I find out right after that, apparently she verbally accepted. I'm like, I had no idea about that. If I knew that she did, I would never have pushed for negotiation. So it was just a lot of miscommunication. I just honestly thought initially that the client said, here's an offer and get back to us if you have any questions. And so in my mind, I'm like, cool. She has another offer coming. Let's see if we can negotiate. But then in my client's mind, apparently when they extended her with the terms. Their understanding was that the candidate accepted. And so when the candidate comes back and wants to renegotiate, this is in bad taste. And then I'm just trapped in the middle. So this has been going on all week. It was super stressful. I had tons of anxiety, didn't know even how to handle the situation. I just was finishing up my day today, and then I got off the phone with the founder, and she's like, hey, I would be willing to chat with her again, but we need to clear this whole thing up. And I had an honest conversation with her saying, hey, like, if, you know, completely our fault if we just made a lot of confusion internally. That was not our objective or goal at all, or intention. We did not know that she verbally accepted. You know, if that was the case, we would not have, you know, even entertained a renegotiation or negotiation process. And at the end of the day, she's like, hey, look, I'm willing to just chat with her tomorrow and be like, hey, the initial terms stand, take it or leave it. If she takes it, great. If she doesn't, then we'll move on. And I think that's the best case scenario that could have come out, because I think it would have been a shame to just reject the candidate outright, because I know the whole team loves her. So at least just play it out with the initial terms, and somehow it got to the situation and I thought I burned it and I thought my client was going to drop me. I just thought so many things, and it was just such a stressful week. And then she she got me to talk about like my fee and my percentage, and this is something that she's done pretty consistently, and we've done some good amount of positions with them. And she was telling me, hey, like, your percentage is adding up, and not in a bad way, like, you're good at what you do. And I'm like, thank you, you know, we definitely do our best. And she goes, would you ever consider like a retainer? And I'm like, typically we would, but it would be very expensive for companies typically. So, you know, I'm a lot more flexible to be on the percentage fee for contingent, but less so on a retainer. But I'm like, if you're entertaining that, like, I'd be open to it. And she was telling us how she had this one guy on retainer for a company and she's not happy with them. So she's like, we would offer you a retainer to be the exclusive retainer for 60 days. And why don't we give it a shot? I'm kind of, I feel like, you know, both sides of the fence on this, because on one hand, I know that retaining is great if it makes sense. And I initially pitched her like a number. She's like, that's way too high. I'm like, well, what do you have in mind? She pitched me a number. I'm like, that's way too low. And then, you know, in my mind, I was thinking about maybe asking her if she's more flexible on the contingent, but you know, I think that she was only going to agree if it dropped down super, super low. And I also knew that in the next month or two, she wasn't hiring that much more. In the beginning, she was hiring across the whole department. So I think right now we'd only focus on maybe 2 to 3 positions max for the next probably 60 days. So she's like, how about this? Why don't we just meet in the middle and try a retainer for 60 days and just see what happens? And if it's great, cool. If it's not, then we can always revert or modify. And so in the beginning, actually, she asked me 90. I'm like, 90 is too big. Let's try something lower, like 60. So we agreed on 60. And then she's like, hey, how about this? Why don't we just try to do a number that works best for us in the beginning? Even the number that we agreed in the middle, that's still way too low. But the fact that it's 60 days, the fact that most of my clients are contingent, a lot of them are not retainer, it's another good experience for me to kind of experiment that. I think in my mind, the ideal scenario would be a retingent or a hybrid between a contingent and retainer. But I'm willing to see how these next 60 days go. I think if I'm able to place like these 3 roles, she saved a bunch of money. Like, she got a good deal for herself, not so much for us. At least for us, we get a 60 days, a little bit more stability, because of course, when you're contingent, you have no idea if you can actually place the roles, right? So, because they're using other recruiters and other sources. So I think it's just gonna be a good trial. Thinking about it now, I'd probably undersold myself right now a little bit, but at the same time, this is like with a really awesome company that's going through fast growth. It's with a really awesome co-founder that I'm developing strong relationships with. So, you know, I'm doing a little kind of give and take, a little bit of flexibility here and there just to kind of solidify our relationship together. But for the next 60 days, we will be their exclusive retaining partner, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, we'll see how it goes month by month. So if this product designer position closed, that's going to be within this retainer. Same thing with the data science position that we're also offering right now too. So we'll see what happens. Happy Friday morning, and the gut punches have already started. We had a creative designer who was possibly entering the offer stage with our client, and we just heard that they're going to, I think, reject him because his salary expectations have changed considerably through the interview process. And while I totally understand that companies have internal bands that they need to do their best to respect, like, they also have to know that in this competitive market, things like this change. This is not rare, especially when good people get multiple offers through an interview process. That's exactly what happened. When I submitted my candidate, he was looking for like 95, 100. Then he got multiple other offers that were significantly higher. And as a result, like he is looking for something a little bit higher, which totally makes sense. And you would think that companies would understand that, but companies like to only see things from their point of view. Like anyone likes to see things from their own point of view and kind of justify it in that way. But again, aside from like the salary bands, like no company wants to see like the candidate that they're excited about ask for $20,000, $30,000 more. But they also have to understand like this happens, right? And what are the opportunity costs of like not hiring this candidate? Are they willing to wait, sink in more time and resources to find someone else? Or does it make more sense to kind of bite your teeth and get someone with a higher salary? Like what's the better play here? But point is, like what I'm trying to share here and what I've shared with the companies, like this will continue to happen more and more and more as companies are very aggressive in this market, and especially depending on what you're looking for. In this case, a designer, like man, competition for good talent is off the roof. So a little bit disappointed here. I tried my best to fight, I tried my best to push, and even if they, want to come up on the salary, they would not be able to come up as high as like 120, 130. And with these other offers already in play by my other candidate, I don't really think that he's gonna go for it. That really is not cool. And then lastly, I had a recruiter candidate going through the final rounds at an education company. I just got word from the COO that they're rejecting her from the references. Like, wow, that's really surprising because like that really doesn't happen that often. References should be like, downhill slope, smooth, no real obstacles. The references that companies are talking to are the 3 best people at that time that a candidate knows that will only say good things about you. So I don't know what happened here. Not much I can do. I can maybe offer other references, but if they've already talked to references and they said it didn't go well, yeah, makes me a loss for words because I thought this was a shoe-in, and that means I have to start targeting again and source and outreach. And I thought this would have been closed by now. And it's not even noon on a Friday and got 2 back-to-back like punches to the body here, but that's a disaster. So not really happy about that. Really spent all my morning focused on engineers, going to shift on product a little bit later today, but now I just have to manage just my internal emotions about this. And it just goes to show that like anything is possible here in recruiting. Like you think you have something in the bag, it can get swept right underneath your feet. And then, or a candidate accepts and they, for some reason, they don't even start, or like in between the offer accepting and their start date, they accept another offer. Like anything can happen. So you just have to be ready and just do the best that you can and understand that like a lot of this comes with just being a recruiter and doing what we do every single day. It comes with the job. Like, of course, we want to do our best to minimize these things from happening, but like to be a recruiter full-time and then to not go through any of these situations is impossible because they happen. And also when it comes to jobs and hiring, a lot of emotions and psychology are in play. And like, sometimes it's a lot of people don't act in a rational, logical way. And I totally get a lot of money on the line, huge life decisions on the line. If you're moving to a new city, you're changing everything for a new job. Like all this is like really, really stressful. So I totally get it, but especially for us that are like in the middle and we're caught in the middle and we're just doing the best that we can, and to get these things happen, not the best, but still gonna have a smile on my face. You have to be optimistic, and if you're in recruiting, whatever happens, you just be grateful. Every deal that happens, just be grateful and be humble and thank the universe or whatever, and just move on and just do the best that you can for every single person. And hopefully that can snowball and bring a lot more positive things to your work and to your business. But in the meantime, in the short term, take the punches, take the jabs, say thank you to them, you learn from them as much as possible, and try to do better next time. That's all we could do. All right, it is almost close to 4 p.m. on Friday. Still got a couple more things to do, a couple more emails to answer. But as you saw, we're wrapping up this week. It was a tough day today, but with recruiting, like anything, you always have tough days, tough weeks, tough months, and you really just have to be resilient, to get up, have a smile, and just keep pushing forward and doing the best that you can. I'm also grateful to say that it's been one hell of a quarter, and I'm just super excited to see how this year turns out. And like with all videos, if you're a recruiting professional who is a master in your market, you're just getting into recruiting, you're starting a recruiting career, just please reach out. Love, love, love hearing your stories and networking with other amazing people around the world. And that's, really what motivates me to continue making these videos for you. And I really hope that if you're made it this far, that you find some sort of value or entertainment or both from these videos, as it takes a lot of work and effort to make these for you. But I'm excited to see where the rest of the year is. And if you are as excited to crush next quarter, to crush and continue the momentum throughout the year, please consider liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. Really means a lot. We're hiring so many positions across recruiting to ops to engineering to product, etc. Please check our website. And so if you might know of anyone who might be interested, you're other recruiter who wants to partner, please reach out to us. We also do a pretty insane referral. We pay up to $20,000 to $30,000 upon a successful referral to the person who makes a fantastic placement. So either way, always happy to look and partner in however way that we want with amazing people. Would love to kind of also hear from you as well. If there's other questions that you have, other videos that you want to see, please reach out. If you're a recruiting professional or you're excited about the recruiting space, please also don't forget to just follow us on our free Discord channel, link below. It's just a very safe, fun place for recruiting professionals to just get to know each other, to work together online. And it's one that's growing very, very quickly, and I'm always really excited to meet all of you guys. But this has been a ridiculous month. Feeling it right now. We did a really pretty rigorous 90-day sprint here for this quarter, and I'm looking forward to kind of really taking my time off this week and really enjoying so that I can come back sharp for next week. But I really hope you guys had a wonderful month, a wonderful quarter, and excited for 2022. I've got a lot of exciting things planned and can't wait to roll it out systematically one at a time. But I'm excited again, just really blessed to be a recruiter. We get paid to really make a difference in people's lives. And if you're looking at recruiting for the first time, I ask you to take a serious look at it. And if you're a recruiter right now and you're struggling, just hang in there, believe in yourself, and be consistent, because the work that you're putting in right now will pay off tenfold. Just don't give up on yourself. So if I can do all of the results I'm going through, you can do the same thing too, which is the whole reason why I want to show you just as transparently as possible what I do every month, celebrating the wins and taking hits with you all. But this week has been insane. Did the biggest week of my entire career. Starting salary was $250,000. Never thought doing a deal at this level would be possible, but just crushed it all with you together. And that was only possible with all the great vibes and the great people that I'm meeting along the way. But yes, next quarter, let's do it. Let's set bigger goals. Let's set bigger milestones. Let's crush next quarter. Let's crush the first half of 2022 and then crush the rest of the year together. So thanks again for watching. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one.